Is Roman Reigns grooming Jey Uso to be the next tribal chief? Is Cody Rhodes really going to defeat Seth Rollins for the fourth consecutive time? And is Cody Rhodes saying the name Brock Lesnar just a little too much? This is Jack O'Hara Wrestling. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe on our channel at Jack O'Hara TV. Monday Night Raw from Charlotte, North Carolina is in the books. I think they were in Raleigh, actually. Sorry, Raleigh, North Carolina. That would have gotten me a massive pop inside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Monday Night Raw concludes with the return of OTC, put the ones to the sky. Roman Reigns is back on Monday Night Raw after getting taken out by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed at Clash in Paris, France, about 4 weeks ago. But really, we all know he was off filming a kick-ass movie in the Street Fighter that both Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes will be a part of. So that is officially over, which means our Tribal Chief is officially back for not only Crown Jewel, but I'm assuming War Games at Survivor Series in San Diego at Petco Park, and I'm assuming for the rest of the year. Roman Reigns returned tonight to help Jimmy and Jey Usos. The Usos pick up a Tornado Tag Team match win over Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman looked as shocked as ever to see the Tribal Chief. Roman Reigns taking out both Braun and Bronson. Jey Uso getting the pin after the spear, and then the double frog splash from the Usos. The Uso splash. Don't at me on YouTube. The final moment of Monday Night Raw was probably the most interesting story of the night. Roman Reigns. It looked like I don't want to use the word grooming Jey Uso, but it looked like he's officially inside the head of Jey Uso. Jey Uso, during that whole Bloodline era from 2020 to 2024, despised Roman Reigns. Even when he was on his side, he didn't want to listen to Roman Reigns. He was the hothead. He was the black sheep of the bloodline. I don't give a damn what the Tribal Chief say. That was Jey Uso. That was main event Jey Uso. The super kick heard around the world when he finally turned on Roman Reigns to join forces with Jimmy to take on Roman and Solo at Money in the Bank. One of the best moments of 2023 by far. This Jey Uso, however, after winning over the WWE Universe with the Heat, literally the most powerful and the most popular catchphrase since Yes. He won the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther. He tapped out Gunther to kick off WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jey Uso has been on the run of a lifetime. I know he lost the World Heavyweight Championship. He hasn't really lost much steam with the fans. Everybody's eating in every town, whether it's Raleigh, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, New York City, Boston, Massachusetts. It doesn't matter where they're at. Jey Uso's got everybody eating. He's got Michael Cole on that announce desk eating. He's got Wade Barrett on that announce desk eating. He has Pat McAfee on that announce desk eating. He's got Jimmy eating. He's got kids eating. Everybody's eating. Maybe not LA Knight, but everybody else is pretty much eating. Even the Tribal Chief is eating. We got a Tribal Yeet in 2025. That's how over and how popular Jey Uso has been. Now, can he ride that as a babyface, this whole Yeet thing, for the next few years? Probably not, and I think we're already starting to see that because over the last 6 or 7 weeks, we've kind of seen a new Jey Uso. Kind of, a subtle hint at a heel turn for Jey Uso. Hasn't been like the full-blown, he definitely looks like a bad guy now. But the spear on LA Knight a few weeks ago, he beat LA Knight in a tag team, or in a singles match last week on Raw, and didn't help him after the Bronze took him out. Jimmy Uso was the only one to help LA Knight. Jimmy has seen some subtle changes in Jey Uso. I believe Jey Uso has seen subtle changes in Jey Uso. He's not quite as yeety as he used to be before. He's not quite as a babyface. He's kind of a tough man saying we got to stack him, we got to smash him, and we got to make him acknowledge us. All things that are coming out of Jey Uso's mouth, all things that Roman Reigns said first. It's kind of the whole mantra and the whole thing that the Tribal Chief told Jey Uso for 4 years, and he hated it, didn't want to listen, ends up turning on him. Helps Cody Rhodes win the undisputed WWE Undisputed Championship in the main event in Philly at WrestleMania 40. Jey Uso is once again listening to Roman Reigns. This is all coming around full circle, ladies and gentlemen. Jey Uso is being groomed by Roman Reigns from what it looks like to be the next Tribal Chief, and Jimmy Uso is having none of it. You can see it in this video right here as well. He is not having any of this brotherhood moment between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. So when is this turn going to happen for Jey Uso? When are they going to build Jey Uso to be the next tribal chief? Roman Reigns was the tribal chief. They built up Solo Sikoa to be the next heel tribal chief, and he built his own bloodline outside of the Samoans. He went and got himself 3 Tongans, Tongaloa, Tamatonga, and then Talatonga, I think is the third one. I don't really know what the MFTs are up to on SmackDown. It's just a bunch of vignettes from them lately. But Jey Uso is looking primed and ready for a massive heel run in 2026, and I don't think we're going to see it until 2026. This is going to be one of Paul Levesque's oh-so-interesting long-term stories heading into the new year. Jey Uso is going to team with Jimmy Uso, I'm assuming moving forward, and now it looks like we could see Roman and the Usos take on, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and someone else at Crown Jewel potentially. I would go out on a limb and say at this point all 3 of them are going to be in War Games against Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. So War Games is actually shaping up to be not quite as what I expected it to be, even as 2 days ago. 2 days ago I had Roman, Cena, Cody, Punk, and Orton against The Vision, Lesnar, and McIntyre. I don't think it's going to shape up that way anymore. Or at least it just doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's going to be more like Roman Reigns, the Usos, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. Those would be the 5 in War Games, which stinks because it's going to be John Cena's last appearance at Survivor Series. He's never competed in a War Games match, not once in his entire career. It would make sense to put him in there, considering it seems like they're teasing Brock Lesnar joining forces with the Vision for one night only in Survivor Series, so I would like to see John Cena get his lick back on Brock Lesnar. You could always book John Cena to face off against Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. There's other dream match scenarios for John Cena at Survivor Series without building an insane story, right? Could have him face The Miz, since The Miz wants to have one final match with John Cena. Have him face Gunther. There's other matches for John Cena. I would have preferred to see him in War Games. Maybe there's still a way to fit him in. Maybe Punk doesn't make it to Survivor Series, and you have Cena, Roman, the Usos, and Cody Rhodes. It does seem to me, though, that it's a lock, based on the stories that are being told, that it'll be Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and the Usos on one side, and Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Brock Lesnar on the other. And I only say that because it seems to me that Cody Rhodes is mentioning the name Brock Lesnar a little too much on camera over the past 2 episodes of WWE television. On SmackDown, he called out Paul Heyman for, him introing Brock Lesnar to the ring in his match with John Cena at WrestlePalooza. He asked him if it was truly a one-night thing, because it didn't seem like it was a one-night thing. And then on Raw tonight, in his promo with Seth Rollins, he asked Seth Rollins, well, if you're in control of the Vision, because Seth Rollins prominently said tonight that every decision goes through him. Paul Heyman has to ask permission. Braun Breaker has to ask permission. Bronson Reed has to ask permission. Becky Lynch has to ask permission. So Cody Rhodes bluntly asked the question, well, if you're running things, was it you that gave Paul Heyman permission to have him intro Brock Lesnar in his match at WrestlePalooza? And Seth Rollins, once again, says every decision goes through me. So that leads me to believe that at Crown Jewel, we're going to see the Beast incarnate. It's not going to be him F5ing John Cena. It's not going to be him suplexing R-Truth. It's going to be him interfering in some capacity in the main event between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes for that men's Crown Jewel Championship. Because if not, then there's no reason that Cody Rhodes would be mentioning him week after week on television. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar was a great rivalry in 2023. It was a trilogy. We got to see a match at Backlash in Puerto Rico. We got to see a match at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. And we got to see a match at SummerSlam in Detroit, Michigan. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see the one-on-one match again. To me, they are evidently building to Survivor Series War Games and having that unstoppable team of Rollins, Lesnar, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. I mean, that's one of your top 2 stars in the company and 3 unbeatable monsters at their all-time best. You're going to have to put together the Avengers team to beat that team. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are in what feels like a 3-month rivalry with the Usos right now, so I'd imagine that the Usos will be in that match, and you could tell the story of Roman Reigns pulling Jey Uso away from Jimmy Uso. Cody Rhodes will be in the match because, he called out the Beast, which means he's going to get him. and that's going to cause him to lose at Crown Jewel against Seth Rollins. I do believe Seth Rollins will finally pick up his first ever win against Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel, which will be a big moment for Seth Rollins, not only for his story, but to elevate that World Heavyweight Championship heading into the new year. And then I don't know who the fifth man would be other than Drew McIntyre, who's had a recent feud with Cody Rhodes. I know Drew McIntyre is about to get involved with Jacob Fatu, which could be another thing that they pull. It could be Cody Rhodes in an entire bloodline against Brock Lesnar in the Vision. It could be Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Jacob Fatu. They could pull that card. It would free up CM Punk for Survivor Series. It would free up John Cena. I'd love another CM Punk John Cena match on the side and then have that War Games match. Why not? Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. I did not think about Jacob Fatu's current feud with Drew McIntyre that we saw on SmackDown. They're building to that for Crown Jewel. Maybe they leave them out of War Games. It makes it interesting. It definitely makes it interesting. I don't think there's too many other fifth members that would make sense other than Drew McIntyre, unless maybe you turn LA Knight heel. Then you have LA Knight team up with the Vision and Lesnar against Roman, the Usos, Cody Rhodes, and maybe Randy Orton. I also did forget, I'm forgetting a lot of things. Randy Orton did help Cody Rhodes, avenged him when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed were assaulting him on SmackDown last week on SmackDown. So maybe it's going to be Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and the Usos versus Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and a fifth man that we can't really connect the dot yet. I really wanted to see I wanted to see John Cena, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton. Those are the five I wanted to see. Because it's inevitable. I think we're getting Brock Lesnar inside of War Games for the first time ever. And I do think it's going to result on him getting frustrated and like F5ing everybody in the ring. I don't think Brock Lesnar gets along with the Vision for more than 5 minutes in that match. Brock Lesnar could honestly enter the match last and then just take out all 9 individuals in the match and then leave. That would be the ultimate Brock Lesnar thing to do, and it would get the biggest pop ever at Petco Park. And I know I would be popping. I'll be there that night in San Diego for sure on November 29th. Regardless of who wins that War Games match, I don't know how you book it that far in advance. Seth Rollins is going to get the win on Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. I'd imagine if Brock Lesnar can't get along with the Vision, and you almost tease that Brock Lesnar-Braun Breaker feud, that Brock Lesnar turns on the Vision out of frustration, and then Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns' team picks up the win. And just thinking about it, the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, his cousins, the Bloodline, that's a main event story in itself, those guys teaming up to take on Lesnar and the Vision. I'd love to see John Cena in it, I just would. But it doesn't really seem like it's going to shape out to be that way as of today's storyline over the past couple of days. CM Punk's going to be on Raw in Dallas, Texas next week. I don't know what for. Him and AJ beat Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch at WrestlePalooza, but we have not seen or heard from them since. Becky versus AJ seems like the logical choice for the Women's Intercontinental Championship next. CM Punk's feud with Seth Rollins hasn't had a climax moment yet, so I know we're probably going to get that at some point to end the year. With Roman and Rollins, I think main eventing WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. I feel like that has to be the main event, either night 1 or night 2. That's a night 1 or night 2 match. To me, Roman versus Seth is a night 2 WrestleMania main event. Then if you go Punk Rhodes the other night, I mean, take your pick. Pick your poison. I mean, night 1, night 2. Those are both night 1 and night 2 main events right there. Needless to say, I do think Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins has to end with Seth Rollins picking up a win. I do believe all of them are going to be in War Games together. I think Roman Reigns is telling a long-term story, getting into the head of Jey Uso, which is going to result in him turning heel and possibly leading his own version of the next Bloodline story that they end up doing long-term. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if Jey Uso is quite as big as Roman Reigns. And when I say not quite as big, he's not bigger than Roman Reigns at all. He's not a needle mover like Roman was in 2020 to be the leader of a big faction that transcends the next generation of the business. I don't think he is. Jimmy, Jey would be involved. Roman would obviously be involved in some way. Who would be Jey's wise man? It doesn't really make sense to me right now, but that's the whole beauty of long-term storytelling, I guess. We just don't know right now, and I don't see that story paying off until the new year heading into WrestleMania 42. I'd imagine it builds to Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania 42. And then this match is going to be way better than the WrestleMania 40 match. Jimmy Uso, in the ring at WrestleMania 40, had to yell at his daughter to get off of her phone at ringside to watch him and her uncle compete in the ring for the first time ever. A match that they've waited their whole lives for. A match that their dad, Rikishi, waited his whole life for, and Jimmy Uso's daughter was on her phone the whole time. So this time around, I'd imagine it'll be some sort of a Las Vegas street fight, or possibly Hell in a Cell, like a big match between Jimmy and Jey, to where Jey Uso kind of takes the reins and becomes that maybe OTC2, because Roman Reigns is OTC1. Maybe this is the story that they've been trying to tell and build to ever since Roman Reigns came back at SummerSlam to team with Jey Uso. OTC1. Jey Uso could be OTC2. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV.